gun in your face, I spit it hotter than anybody in the world could do.
That
It's
shit
like
sucks.
When I say just business, I mean that I love. What the fuck?
Hey everyone, it's Bruce, and welcome to another video. 2 decades is an eternity in the gaming industry, where technological advancements can make yesterday's groundbreaking titles feel dated and clunky. Yet some games transcend their technical limitations through sheer excellence in design, storytelling, and gameplay mechanics. These timeless classics continue to captivate players 20 years after their release, proving that true innovation and thoughtful game design never go out of style. In this exploration of gaming's most enduring titles from the early 2000s, we'll discover why these games remain not just playable, but genuinely enjoyable experiences in 2024. From revolutionary physics engines to groundbreaking multiplayer systems, these games laid the foundation for modern gaming while maintaining their unique charm and playability. Whether you're a nostalgic veteran revisiting these classics or a newcomer experiencing them for the first time, these 15 games demonstrate that excellence in game design is truly timeless. Let's dive into these masterpieces that have not just survived but thrived across 2 decades of gaming evolution. Don't be a stranger. Like, subscribe, and join the fam for more awesome videos coming your way. Far Cry, 2004. When it comes to games that have aged like fine wine, Far Cry stands as a statement to groundbreaking game design that still holds up 2 decades later. This tropical paradise-turned nightmare puts you in the shoes of Jack Carver, an ex-Special Forces operative who probably wished he'd stayed in retirement instead of playing boat taxi to a journalist in the South Pacific. What starts as a simple escort mission quickly spirals into a fight for survival against mercenaries, mad scientists, and mutations that would make Darwin scratch his head in confusion. The game's approach to combat encounters remains refreshingly dynamic even by today's standards. Unlike the corridor shooters of its time, Far Cry gave players sprawling jungle playgrounds where every approach felt viable. The AI wasn't just window dressing. These mercenaries would actively try to outflank you, call for backup, and use the environment to their advantage. Nothing quite gets your heart racing like hearing the distant sound of a flare gun, knowing reinforcements are about to make your day much more interesting. And let's be honest, watching enemy patrols panic and scatter after you've picked off their leader with a well-placed sniper shot never gets old. The Cry engine that powered Far Cry was so ahead of its time it's almost ridiculous. Those vast tropical vistas, the dynamic lighting, and the way foliage provided actual tactical opportunities rather than just pretty scenery. It all still looks impressive today. While modern gamers might take open-ended level design for granted, Far Cry was pioneering stuff in 2004. Each mission area was essentially a combat sandbox where players could approach objectives from multiple angles. Want to go in guns blazing? Sure. Prefer to sneak around marking enemies with your binoculars and picking them off one by one? That works too. The game respected player choice before it was cool. The mix of realistic combat with sci-fi elements, those mutants still give me nightmares, created a unique atmosphere that many games since have tried to replicate. It's like if Jurassic Park met Rambo, but with more German scientists and questionable genetic experiments. Max Payne 2, 2003. 2 decades later, this game remains a masterclass in stylish action gaming that perfectly combines cinematic storytelling with groundbreaking gameplay mechanics. This noir-soaked love story wrapped in bullets and betrayal still packs an emotional punch that many modern games struggle to match. The game's revolutionary bullet time system wasn't simply a gimmick, it was a game-changer that holds up beautifully today. The enhanced mechanics allow players to move faster as they rack up kills, with instant weapon reloads adding to the ballet of violence. I mean, picture this. You're diving sideways in slow motion, dual pistols blazing, while debris realistically scatters around you thanks to the Havoc physics engine. It's pure poetry in motion, and it still feels incredible. The physics engine doesn't just make things look pretty. It creates dynamic combat scenarios where cover can be destroyed, grenades can send objects flying, and every firefight tells its own story. Want to throw a Molotov cocktail to flush out enemies? Watch as the flames realistically spread and enemies react in panic. Need to take out a sniper? Use the environment to your advantage by shooting through thin walls or bouncing grenades off surfaces. Even the small details shine, the way shadows warn of enemies around corners, the ability to command AI companions, and the satisfying headshot mechanics that reward precision. The noir-style graphic novel cutscenes and Max's gravelly internal monologue create an atmosphere that's thick enough to cut with a knife, proving that strong artistic direction trumps pure technical prowess when it comes to standing the test of time.
Respect has to be earned, sweet, just like money.
So what you saying? You don't respect me?
What I'm saying is,
Speak up, nigga.
I'm hungry.
Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, 2004. GTA San Andreas's super influential open-world experiences hasn't left our hearts even after 12 long years. Set in the fictional state of San Andreas, the game follows Carl C.J. Johnson as he returns home to Los Santos following his mother's murder, only to be dragged back into a life of crime, corruption, and family loyalty. The game's sprawling world encompasses 3 major metropolitan cities: Los Santos, San Fierro, and Las Venturas, each crafted to mirror their real-world counterparts of Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Las Vegas. Rockstar's attention to detail went beyond mere visual recreation. They consulted Los Angeles natives to capture authentic cultural elements that made the world feel alive and genuine. What makes San Andreas still incredibly playable today is its unprecedented level of player freedom and customization. You're not just playing through missions, you're living a virtual life. Want to hit the gym to bulk up? Go for it. Fancy learning new fighting moves? Visit the dojo. Feel like mastering flying planes? Head to flight school. The game was revolutionary in letting players shape both CJ's skills and appearance through various activities. The gameplay systems remain impressively deep and engaging. From recruiting gang members for territory wars to engaging in high-stakes heists, every activity feels meaningful and contributes to the larger narrative. The combat system was ahead of its time, featuring dual-wielding weapons and drive-by shooting mechanics that still feel satisfying. Call of Duty, 2003. When it comes to defining the World War II shooter genre, Call of Duty's 2003 debut changed everything. Even after 2 decades, the original COD still holds up as a masterclass in immersive warfare that revolutionized how we experience military shooters. The game's greatest strength lies in its ability to make you feel like part of something bigger than yourself. Unlike other shooters of its era that cast you as a one-man army, Call of Duty surrounded you with AI squad mates who actually contributed to the fight. The way your fellow soldiers would call out enemy positions, provide covering fire, and react to the chaos around them created an unprecedented sense of authenticity that still feels impactful today. The campaign's mission design remains remarkably engaging, taking you through pivotal World War II battles from multiple perspectives. Whether you're storming the beaches as an American soldier, defending Stalingrad as a Soviet conscript, or fighting through the hedgerows as a British paratrooper, each mission feels distinct and historically grounded. The attention to period-accurate weapons, uniforms, and locations shows a level of detail that helped establish the series' reputation for authenticity. The crack of rifle fire, the thunderous explosions, and the desperate shouts of soldiers created a haunting soundscape that pulled players into the horror and heroism of World War II. Even by today's standards, few games have matched the intensity of pushing through the ruins of Stalingrad while German artillery shells rain down around you. The game's multiplayer might seem basic by modern standards, but its core gunplay mechanics, the precise weapon handling, the importance of cover, the lethal nature of combat, laid the foundation for decades of multiplayer shooters to come. The clean, focused design of maps like Harbor and Carentan proved so timeless that they've been remade multiple times throughout the series.
That was one killer shot. Attaboy.
Manhunt, 2003. Rockstar's most controversial game remains a haunting statement to the raw power of psychological horror and stealth gameplay. Set in the grimy streets of Carcer City, you play as James Earl Cash, a death row inmate forced to participate in a series of snuff films orchestrated by a mysterious director. The game's stealth mechanics were revolutionary for their time and remain engaging today. Each shadow becomes a potential sanctuary as you stalk your prey through meticulously designed levels. The 3-tiered execution system, hasty, violent, and gruesome, creates a disturbing risk-reward dynamic that forces players to confront their own bloodlust. The game's atmosphere is suffocating. Every footstep echoes with dread, every corner potentially hiding a violent death. Using the renderware engine, Rockstar created a world that feels genuinely oppressive, with lighting and sound design that puts many modern horror games to shame. The game was so intense that it reportedly caused internal conflict at Rockstar during development. Unlike Grand Theft Auto's optional violence, Manhunt's brutality was unavoidable, making it a uniquely challenging experience even for its creators. The controversy surrounding its release, including its connection to real-world events, led to it being pulled from stores in several countries. 20 years later, Manhunt stands tall to gaming's potential for mature storytelling. Its combo of stealth gameplay, psychological horror, and social commentary created an experience that, while controversial, pushed the boundaries of what video games could achieve. The fact that no game since has quite matched its intensity speaks to both its innovation and the cultural moment it captured.
Funny, in my 30 years here, I haven't seen a single one.
You're all washed up. Read my lips. Your dad was dirty. You're a loser. End of story.
True Crime Streets of LA, 2003. Playing as loose cannon cop Nick Kang, players patrol a meticulously recreated 240-square-mile slice of Los Angeles, from the glitz of Beverly Hills to the grit of downtown. Honestly, the gameplay still impresses today. Whether you're engaging in martial arts street brawls, participating in intense shootouts, or pursuing suspects in high-speed chases across accurately recreated LA streets, each system feels distinct and well-realized. The combat system offers 3 distinct martial arts styles, while driving missions keep you on your toes with pursuit, escape, and surveillance objectives. Your actions as Nick Kang actually matter. Failed missions don't mean game over, but instead branch the story in new directions, leading to multiple possible endings. This level of narrative freedom was revolutionary for its time, and remains engaging today. The game doesn't punish you for failure, but instead adapts, creating a unique playthrough experience each time. The attention to detail in recreating Los Angeles is remarkable even by today's standards. Using GPS technology and satellite imaging, the developers crafted an authentic representation of LA that includes major landmarks, accurate street names, and recognizable neighborhoods. This commitment to authenticity extends to the game's story, which draws inspiration from Hong Kong action films while grounding itself in the gritty reality of LA police work. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, 2003. Before Luke Skywalker ever picked up a lightsaber, BioWare created what many consider the greatest Star Wars story ever told. 2 decades later, KOTOR remains a masterpiece of storytelling and player choice that continues to influence RPGs today. The game brilliantly translates Star Wars epic battles into strategic encounters, using a modified D20 system based on Dungeons & Dragons rules. While combat plays out in real time, the pause-based tactical approach lets players carefully consider each action, making every lightsaber duel and blaster fight feel both cinematic and strategic. Every dialogue choice and action shifts your character toward either the light or dark side of the Force, with meaningful consequences that affect both the story and gameplay. The genius lies in how these choices feel natural rather than binary. You're not just picking good or evil options, but making complex decisions that shape your journey. The story remains one of gaming's greatest achievements. Starting as an amnesiac Republic soldier, you're drawn into an epic conflict against the Sith Lord Darth Malak and his armada. The search for ancient star maps leads to one of the most memorable plot twists in gaming history, while a cast of unforgettable companions like the assassin droid HK-47 and the conflicted Jedi Bastila Shan bring the story to life. 20 years later, KOTOR's influence can be seen in countless RPGs that follow. Its meaningful choice, companion relationships, and morality systems created a template that BioWare and other developers would build upon for years to come. The fact that modern gamers still regularly discover and fall in love with this classic speaks to its timeless quality and masterful design.
So wake up, Mr. Freeman. Wake up and smell the ashes.
Half-Life 2, 2004. Honestly, this game remains a masterpiece that revolutionized how we think about physics and storytelling in video games. Following the silent protagonist Gordon Freeman, players are thrust into a dystopian Earth controlled by the multi-dimensional alien empire known as the Combine. The game's revolutionary physics engine transformed how players interact with their environment. The iconic gravity gun is a game-changing tool that turns everyday objects into weapons, lets you catch enemy grenades mid-air, and solve environmental puzzles in creative ways. Even today, no game has quite matched the playful physicality of Half-Life 2's world. The combat system strikes a perfect balance between traditional gunplay and physics-based warfare. Each weapon feels distinct and purposeful, from the satisfying shotgun that sends enemies flying backward to the precision crossbow that lets you pull off creative ricochet shots. The enemy AI remains impressive, with combined soldiers using tactical movements and coordinated attacks that keep you constantly on your toes. Rather than front-loading players with instructions, the game naturally introduces mechanics through gameplay. From the iconic pick up that can scene to increasingly complex physics puzzles, players are constantly learning new ways to interact with the world. The game's $40 million development cost and 5-year creation period resulted in unprecedented attention to detail. The Source engine wasn't just built to look pretty. It was designed to create a deeply interactive world where physics weren't just window dressing but fundamental to both combat and puzzle solving. 2 decades later, Half-Life 2's influence can still be felt in countless games, proving that its innovations weren't just impressive for their time, they were truly timeless.
Only the dagger can unlock the sands of time.
No!
The Prince of Persia, 2003. This is a game that gave us all from acrobatic performance to engaging combat, and revolutionary time manipulation mechanics. This breathtaking adventure follows a young prince who must right his wrongs after accidentally releasing the mystical sands of time. The game's most defining feature, the ability to rewind time, was a groundbreaking gameplay mechanic that transformed how players approach challenges. Miss a jump? Caught by a trap? Simply rewind time and try again. This elegant solution eliminated the frustrating trial-and-error gameplay that plagued many platformers of the era. The platforming mechanics set new standards for fluid movement in 3D space. The prince can run across walls, swing from poles, leap between pillars, and chain together acrobatic moves with remarkable grace. The animation work remains impressive even today, with every movement flowing naturally into the next. The intuitive controls make these complex maneuvers feel effortless, putting many modern platformers to shame. Combat seamlessly integrates with the time manipulation mechanics. Battles require you to knock enemies down with your sword before finishing them with the dagger of time, creating a unique rhythm to fights. The game weaves its narrative through gameplay rather than relying on cutscenes, with the prince narrating his tale throughout the adventure. His relationship with Farah, the Maharaja's daughter, develops naturally through their shared ordeal, creating one of gaming's most believable partnerships. It's not just a nostalgic favorite, it remains a masterpiece that plays beautifully even today. Soul Calibur 2, 2002. Even after 20 years, this game is famous for its accessible gameplay that created a formula which has stood the test of time. With its intuitive layout and fluid movement mechanics, newcomers can quickly grasp the basics while veterans discover layers of depth through systems like guard impacts, just frame moves, and the 3-step soul charge. The fights move at an exhilarating pace, with every strike feeling weighty and impactful, thanks to excellent sound design and visual feedback. The game's roster showcases incredible diversity, from returning favorites to newcomers like Cassandra, Raphael, Talim, and Yun Sung. Each platform received an exclusive guest character, Heihachi Mishima, PS2, Link, GameCube, or Spawn, Xbox, adding something new to each version. The character designs and animations remain stunning even today, with every fighter's weapon-based style feeling distinct and purposeful. The Weapon Master mode stands as one of fighting games' greatest solo experiences, combining compelling mission objectives with meaningful progression through experience points and gold. Players could unlock new weapons, characters, and stages while mastering the game's intricate combat systems. Its perfect combination of accessible gameplay, stunning presentation, and rich content created a timeless classic that continues to captivate fighting game enthusiasts. The game's influence can still be felt throughout the genre, proving that true excellence never goes out of style. Need for Speed Underground, 2003. This next game is a defining moment in racing game history, perfectly capturing the early 2000s street racing culture that dominated pop culture. Set in the streets of Olympic City, this game transformed the series from exotic supercars to the thriving import tuner scene. The game's comprehensive customization system revolutionized racing games. Players could modify everything from performance parts like engine upgrades, turbochargers, and suspension to visual elements including body kits, vinyl, neon underglow, and custom paint jobs. Each modification directly affected your car's performance and your style points multiplier. The racing itself feels incredibly dynamic and intense. Whether you're competing in circuit races, sprints, drifting challenges, or drag races, the game maintains a perfect balance of arcade accessibility and challenging gameplay. The sense of speed is incredible, with blurring taillights and rain-soaked streets creating an atmospheric racing experience that still impresses. Underground's progression system keeps players hooked through a compelling career mode with an actual storyline. Starting with a modest car, players work their way up through Olympic City's street racing scene, facing increasingly difficult opponents while unlocking new parts and vehicles. The game features 20 fully customizable licensed vehicles from 13 manufacturers, each feeling distinct and authentic. The game's soundtrack perfectly encapsulates the era, featuring artists like Nate Dogg, Rob Zombie, and the iconic Get Low by Lil Jon and the East Side Boys, which became synonymous with the game's identity.
The Navy has lost one of its best.
Flip space ruptures directly off our battle cluster.
Master Chief, defend this station.
Cortana, what exactly am I looking at?
That is another Halo.
Halo 2, 2004. This one is a revolutionary title that transformed how we play games online and redefined what was possible in first-person shooters. Following Master Chief's return to Earth and introducing the playable Arbiter, this sequel expanded the series' scope in unprecedented ways. The game's groundbreaking multiplayer system revolutionized online console gaming. Bungie pioneered features we take for granted today: party systems, skill-based matchmaking, and playlists that automatically grouped players of similar skill levels. This intuitive approach to online play made Halo 2 the most popular title on Xbox Live until Gears of War arrived 2 years later. The campaign delivered a more complex and nuanced narrative than its predecessor. Playing as both Master Chief and the Arbiter offered two perspectives on the conflict, transforming the Covenant from simple antagonists into a complex civilization with internal politics and religious strife. The game's set pieces remain impressive, from defending Earth against Covenant invasion to exploring the massive High Charity space station. Combat received significant upgrades that still feel modern today. The addition of dual-wielding weapons, vehicle hijacking, and new arsenal options like the energy sword created more dynamic gameplay possibilities. The game's physics and damage modeling were ahead of their time, with vehicles showing realistic battle damage and environmental interactions that added tactical depth to every encounter. Despite its troubled development and controversial cliffhanger ending, Halo 2 became the best-selling first-generation Xbox game with over 8 million copies sold. Its influence extends far beyond sales numbers. The game established Xbox Live as a serious platform for online gaming and set standards for multiplayer features that would become industry standards. Tony Hawk's Underground, 2003. This game transformed skateboarding games from simple score-chasing experiences into a full-fledged adventure. This bold reimagining of the franchise introduced a compelling story-driven approach that still feels fresh today. The game's story mode follows your custom character's journey from local skater to professional, introducing a personal touch never before seen in the series. The relationship between the protagonist and Eric Sparrow creates a narrative filled with betrayal and redemption, culminating in one of gaming's most satisfying confrontations. Thug's gameplay innovations remain impressive today. The ability to dismount your board and explore on foot opened up new possibilities for level design and mission variety. The extensive customization options let players create their own skater, complete with face-scanning technology for PlayStation 2 players who wanted to put themselves directly into the game. The game's difficulty settings were carefully crafted to welcome newcomers while challenging veterans. From too easy to sick mode, players could progress at their own pace while developing their skills. The level design showcases this accessibility, with interconnected environments from New Jersey to Manhattan offering diverse challenges and hidden areas for players to discover. What truly sets Thug apart is its theme of individuality and soul skating, skating for enjoyment rather than riches. This philosophy created a more meaningful experience than previous entries in the series. The extensive creation tools, including Park Editor and custom tricks, gave players unprecedented freedom to express themselves. Warhammer 40k Dawn of War 2004. Following the Bloodraven Space Marines chapter on the planet Tartarus, players are thrust into an escalating conflict involving orcs, Eldar, and the corrupting forces of chaos. The game's squad-based system revolutionized RTS combat. Instead of individual units, players command squads of up to 9 soldiers who fight as one cohesive unit. This innovation allows for deeper tactical gameplay through weapon upgrades for individual squad members and the ability to reinforce damaged units with fresh recruits. The resource system brilliantly captures the territorial nature of 40k warfare. Rather than traditional resource gathering, players must fight for and hold strategic points across the map to gain resources. This creates constant tension and forces aggressive gameplay rather than passive base building. Each faction offers distinct playstyles while maintaining perfect balance. The orcs embrace overwhelming numbers with higher unit caps, while the Eldar require mastery of specialized units. The Space Marines provide versatile squads capable of handling multiple situations. The combat itself is spectacularly violent and satisfying. Massive mechanical defilers toss Space Marines across the battlefield, while devastating weapons tear through infantry ranks. This brutality isn't simply for show. It perfectly embodies the no individual life matters philosophy of the Warhammer 40,000 universe.
To see if you wanted, Riddick. What in the F you think you're doing, Matson? You dealing without my approval?
You're in my cell.
You need a blade. You come to me.
The Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay, 2004. Escape from Butcher Bay stands as a rare example of a movie tie-in that surpassed its source material. Set in the galaxy's most notorious prison, this prequel to Pitch Black follows anti-hero Richard B. Riddick, brilliantly voiced by Vin Diesel, as he plots his inevitable escape. The combat system shines with visceral first-person melee fights where you can feel every punch, featuring counter moves and brutal takedowns that make each encounter satisfying. The stealth mechanics are equally impressive, with an innovative blue tint system replacing traditional stealth meters, allowing Riddick to move silently through shadows and execute devastating stealth kills. Starting with nothing, players must earn respect and gather resources through prison fights and optional missions. The DNA-locked weapons system cleverly forces players to rely on improvised weapons and hand-to-hand combat early on, making each firearm acquisition feel earned. The addition of Riddick's signature eyeshine ability allowed players to navigate through pitch-black areas. The game's atmosphere is oppressive and immersive, with detailed environments ranging from maximum security cells to dark mineshafts. The prison itself feels alive with inmates offering side missions, trading cigarettes, and engaging in power struggles. The story moves at a brisk pace, perfectly capturing Riddick's character through his minimal but impactful dialogue and brutal efficiency. No wonder it still holds up today. As we conclude our journey through these 15 remarkable games from the early 2000s, it's clear that their enduring appeal goes far beyond mere nostalgia. Each title showcased innovations that would shape the future of gaming, from Half-Life 2's revolutionary physics engine to Halo 2's transformative multiplayer systems, from KOTOR's compelling narrative choices to San Andreas's unprecedented open-world freedom. 20 years later, these titles remain more than just historical curiosities or museum pieces. For new players discovering these classics and veterans revisiting old favorites, these 15 games continue to demonstrate why they're not just good for their time. They're simply good games, period. In an industry often focused on pushing technical boundaries, these enduring masterpieces remind us that true innovation isn't just about better graphics or more powerful hardware. It's about creating experiences that remain engaging and enjoyable regardless of when they were made. That's the true mark of a timeless classic. And these 15 games have more than earned their place in gaming's Hall of Fame. Drop a comment below sharing your favorite memories with these classics, or tell us which timeless games from 20 years ago you think deserve to be on this list. And if you want to catch more nostalgic gaming content and deep dives into gaming history, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell to join our growing community of retro gaming enthusiasts. Let's keep the conversation going about these amazing games that have stood the test of time. Until next time.